Hello and welcome to my channel. Sorry, each head over there. My name is Joyce and I do all things personal development. For those of you that keep coming back, a very warm welcome back. For those of you who are seeing this face for the first time, welcome. Today I want to talk about the basic of everything that I teach, or that I deliver, and that is belief. If you do not believe, it will not be possible for you. Now, I know that sounds really weird, but for anything to work for you, whether it's what you find in this channel or elsewhere, you have to be of that belief that it will work for you. Because unless you are of that school of thought, it won't work for you. Skepticism, for example, in whether science works or not, just means that when it gets to the experiment, it won't work for you, because most of the time a lot of life really hinges on what we believe, what we see, and what we think is possible. It's almost like, have you ever been I know this one particular person that it didn't matter what it is that they cooked, it just never turned out right. And I think part of it was because they didn't think that they were a good cook. So it didn't matter whether they got the best produce to be able to make the thing that they wanted to make. Let's say it was bread that they were trying to make. They got the flour, they got the salt, they got the yeast, they got the oil or butter just to mix it in. And it just ends up always flopping or not turning out as it should. It's not because that person doesn't have the skill set, but I believe most of the time it's because they didn't even believe in their own capabilities. So in order for anything to work for you, it's the same skill set. You have to believe that it will work for you. And then you've got to go in and attempt until it does. Now, some people might say, well, actually, the only reason it works because you've attempted it 1,000 times. Does it really matter that you've attempted it 1,000 times and the 1,001th time is the time that it worked for you? I don't think it should. The only thing that should matter is you tried it, it worked, end of the journey. And but I really do believe that the premise of that, for anything working for you, is that you believe it. If you don't believe it, I am convinced it's a losing battle, whatever it is, whether it's a job, whether it's a menu that you're attempting for the first time, whether it's an exam you're attempting or a class, whatever it is. If you do not believe in your own ability to achieve something, it's going to be a losing battle. So the first thing to do, if you're going to benefit for a lot of what it is that I do offer in this channel, is that you believe that whatever is being said here can work for you. Now, I also do believe that belief comes in different forms and spaces and time as well, right? So the first thing I believed is not necessarily the thing that I do believe now, 20 years later, right? Because through all of those knowledge and wisdom and experiences and different schools of thought and different kind of people have all kind of built in this building block to where now I am immovable, because I've got so much evidence that actually supports what it is that I believe, that I'm completely immovable, because I know beyond a shadow of doubt that A plus B equals C, end of. Right? So, but also the other thing is, it has to make sense for you. You've got to believe it, and it has to make sense for you, because if it doesn't make sense for you, it will not work, no matter how many times you try to make it work. Right? You have to believe it, and it has to make sense for you. Now, nobody else, it doesn't have to make sense for anybody else. I remember when I started just believing that I could be more than what I was offering. Like, I could believe in possibilities, that there was more to life. I always knew that. I don't know what it was, but I always knew that there was more to life than what I was experiencing. And I wanted to experience that. I don't think anybody necessarily told me that, but it was just this gut feeling that there's got to be more to life. There has got to be absolutely more to life. And eventually, after trial and error, I came to really understand that life is really always at the tip of our tongue. You know, as they say, life and death are in the power of the tongue. That sentence alone completely changed my life. Once I started believing that what I say and what I believe becomes my reality, then everything changed. I started to be a bit more careful about the language that I use. I started to speak life into myself. I started to use affirmations that completely changed my life. If you've never tried affirmations to change your circumstances, do it today. But, do it in a way that convinces you, not anybody else. Say, for example, if you believe that, that there is the mind and body connection, then it doesn't really matter what anybody else tells you, because you know it, because you believe it, and that's it. If you don't believe, on the other hand, it doesn't matter how many people try to convince you, and nobody should try and convince you, really, because I think, as they say, when the student is ready, the teacher does appear. So I don't think you should ever try and convince somebody. For me, if you don't believe in, the fact that you are capable of achieving anything you put your mind to, then I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to try and, convert people, right? Because to me, my own life is a testament of what is possible for me, and of whether you believe in it or not is a different ballgame. It doesn't have to be my reality. That's as they say, as my daughter would say, that's a you problem, right? That's something you have to deal with, because as far as I'm concerned, I have convinced myself. So you have to believe it, and then you have to know that it is absolutely 100% possible for you, and of. No one else needs to be convinced of anything else in your journey. So belief is everything. And I know that's keeping it really short and sweet, but that's the reality of it. Because until you believe what you're selling yourself, it doesn't really matter what everybody else is selling. Because ultimately, the only person that you need to be convincing is yourself. And that is it. So I leave it there. Think about what your belief systems are. See what needs tweaking or changing. And then work towards changing your own life. Because nobody else in this world needs to be convinced of anything else but yourself. Hope that's been helpful. Have an incredible day. And I will speak to you tomorrow. Take care.